What's up, savvy expats? When living in the Philippines, there are 5 apps that not only I, but countless expats and locals alike use on a daily basis here. I'd even say that without these apps, life in the Philippines becomes much harder than it needs to be. So you can imagine, I've had these apps downloaded for nearly the entirety of my 5 years living in the Philippines purely because of how valuable they are to my day-to-day life here. That said, enough talk and let's hop straight into this, shall we? Now, the first app that will be beyond useful for you as an expat to download here in the Philippines is GCash. In a nutshell, GCash in the Philippines is like the equivalent to Venmo and Zelle in the States. Essentially, it's a mobile payment app, so whether you're paying at your local 7-Eleven, the nearest coffee shop, or even your utility bills in some cases, GCash is used very widespread here. You see, when most people think about the Philippines, their immediate perception is that the Philippines is still brick-and-mortar operations and a society still lacking far behind in comparison to the West. And while that may have been the case a couple of years ago, we have rapidly progressed in digitizing our systems and processes, even if we're comparing it to the progress that we had 5 years ago. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still aspects of day-to-day life here that is still far behind. Take, for example, handling your banking or visa matters. Living in the West, you can typically take care of these things within minutes online from the comfort of your own home. But here in the Philippines, minor things like this still require you to show up in person, for example, at your local bank or at the Bureau of Immigration. So I do suppose that you can say that certain parts of society here is still like living in the old days. But I must admit, in bringing it back to our original point, GCash has become so mainstream within the recent years to the point where the minor inconveniences we had to deal with back then, say 5 to 7 years ago, are things that are no longer pains in the butt anymore at this current day and age. I'll tell you, I've lived here for 5 years now. And every year that goes by here in the Philippines, the systems and processes do gradually get more digitized and convenient for us to use. So we've established that GCash is the fastest way to get around, especially within the major cities like Manila and Cebu when it comes to dealing with your finances. And if you're the type of person that doesn't like bringing cash around, you can pay just about anywhere with GCash. For example, even on the remote island of Siargao, a place where I went on vacation just a couple of weeks ago, went surfing, it was a really good time, I noticed that the majority of the establishments there also took GCash. So you can expect that in Manila and Cebu, the same is the case. Now the question is, how do you actually go about using GCash as a foreigner? First things first, you're going to want to go and download the GCash app. From there, you'll put in your identity details. This, of course, does include submitting your ACR card, which in short stands for your Alien Certificate of Registration card. The ACR card is required for all foreigners to get upon staying in the country for 59 days. And in a nutshell, this card is basically used to identify foreign nationals. Then, once you've submitted your ACR card, you should be good to go to use GCash as an expat. Now, you may be wondering, how do I load my GCash with money? For me personally, I do have a local Philippine bank account. So what I typically do is I'll transfer my Philippine funds from my local Metrobank account straight into my GCash, and that's how you load it. Another alternative is going to a GCash ATM machine at your nearest local convenience store. Once there, you'll go ahead and load the machine with physical cash. Then you type in your phone number linked to your GCash account, and voila, your GCash is loaded. Now, we also can't forget that GCash is especially convenient if you're using Grab. The reason why is because you can link your GCash directly to your Grab so that your fare is automatically charged to your GCash. You don't have to pull out physical cash, and it's automatically charged to your account. And let me tell you, this is so much easier and much more convenient, especially when you're in a rush to get somewhere and you don't have to pull out the physical cash and then go through all the hassle of waiting to get your change. Also, really quick announcement, Applications are now open for our 1-to-1 expat relocation program. If you're planning on moving to the Philippines within the next 1 to 4 months from now, our program and services will take care of the entire logistical moving process for you. From finding and securing your condo's lease to handling your visa, banking, and healthcare matters, I'm here to hold you by the hand, ultimately saving you more time and money in the long run with your transition. That said, if you want a white glove service such as this, be sure to book a call with me in the link in the description down below, and I'll see if we're a good fit to work together. All right, now back to the topic at hand. The next app that you should download as an expat in the Philippines is Grab. Grab is essentially the Uber of Southeast Asia. Unless I'm traveling very far outside to the provinces of the Philippines, 90% of the time I use Grab just because of how convenient it is. Because as I've mentioned in my past videos, Grab has primarily 3 advantages over hailing a taxi. Number 1 is convenience. All you have to do is simply open up the Grab app, choose your pickup location and your drop-off destination, and merely within minutes, your driver is there to pick you up. And I don't know about you, but if you're new to the Philippines coming from abroad, this just takes out all the confusion from the picture when it comes to navigating. The second reason why I recommend that you choose Grab is because of the predictable rates. Whenever you book a Grab, the app will show an exact price for your fare, making it very convenient and transparent. Taxi, on the other hand, especially as a foreigner, you never really know how much the driver is going to charge you. Some taxi drivers will use the meter, while most others will just charge you a set rate. And believe me, whether you're a foreigner or you're a balikbayan, it's very common to get skin taxed out here with the taxi drivers. And again, in the grand scheme of things, getting charged extra $2 to $3 isn't really a big deal. But at the end of the day, nobody likes the feeling of getting taken advantage of. The third reason I prefer Grab is because of the quality of cars. Most Grab cars in the Philippines, which based on my experience just so happen to be Toyota Vioses, are still better qualities than the average taxi in the Philippines. That said, another small plus is that you do get stronger AC. And while that may not sound like a big deal to you, understand when you mix the hot tropical weather of the Philippines and the long enduring traffic you have to go through, riding a taxi at times can be brutal. Moving on to the third app that you'll need as a foreigner in the Philippines, that is Meralco. Essentially, Meralco is the app that you use to pay your utility bills here in the Philippines. And downloading this app will make your life a heck of a lot easier here. Why? Well, because you can go about paying your utility bills here in the Philippines 2 different ways. You can do it the old-fashioned way by going to the admin office of your condo or to your local Meralco in person and have it paid there. Or you can go on the Meralco app and simply pay online, which is easier and faster. Now you may be wondering, how do you go about doing this? Well, when you rent out an apartment or condo in the Philippines, you'll already have a special Meralco number issued to identify your condo. So what you'll do is you'll download the Meralco app. It'll ask for your information as well as your Meralco number. And you should be able to get this Meralco number from your unit owner or realtor. From there, you can go on the app to see how much your electricity bill is and settle it there online. Now, the fourth app that I highly recommend that you download as an expat coming to the Philippines, that is Shopee. Essentially, Shopee is like the Amazon of the Philippines, except to a cheaper and smaller degree. I see a lot of expats come to the Philippines and they still want to use Amazon, which yes, is great for some items, but when it comes to certain other items, it becomes unbelievably expensive. I once wanted to purchase a $200 standing desk on Amazon, which I believe for the quality of this particular desk, the price wasn't that bad. But then come to find out, when I go onto the checkout page to get that item, that standing desk, shipped out here to the Philippines, it would cost me an additional $700. Yes, that's right, $700 just for shipping that. That's more than the desk itself. Now keep in mind, I never really used Shopee or Lazada up until recently. So, as my last resort, I downloaded Shopee. And well, lo and behold, after downloading Shopee, I find the same desk, or at least nearly similar to that previous desk I liked. And not only was it half the price, but guess how much the shipping fee was? The shipping fee was only $5. And not to mention just about anything you can find on Shopee and Lazada. Now keep in mind, just like Amazon, of course there are certain products that aren't the same quality as advertised online and from what you see in the pictures. And so the key, which you already know, is to read the reviews, make sure that it's got high ratings, and to ensure the quality as much as possible. And one way I do this is by choosing the cash on delivery option, just in case I want to send the item back because it's not the same quality and there's some sort of complaint. But for me, I rarely have to ever do that because the majority of the items that I buy on these apps, I ensure are high reviewed, highly rated, and are quality verified. So be it standing desks, furniture, kitchenware, pet supplies, you name it, you can probably find it on Shopee and Lazada. Now, for the fifth and last app that I recommend you download as an expat in the Philippines, that is Airbnb. Of course, this goes with just about any country that you want to explore. But even if you plan on fully moving or renting long-term out here in the Philippines, you'll still find that Airbnb does come in handy. Chances are, when you're living in the Philippines, you're going to opt for two different routes. Either you plan on exploring right away, or you settle down to a specific location. Either way, Airbnb is going to come in handy. For example, let's say that you're scouting out rental units in BGC or Makati. In that period where you're doing your in-person viewings and taking a look at the condos in the area, you can also book an Airbnb for a 1-2 week long stay just to get a feel for the city and the neighborhood that you're staying in. From here, you can get a feel for that particular condo that you're in, and also just get a feel for living in the Philippines in general and what it's like to call this country home. Other than that, just be aware of faulty Airbnb listings. I remember that I mentioned in one of my past videos, older video, that I've gotten scammed on a couple of Airbnbs when I first arrived in the Philippines. Long story short, the units were nothing like they were advertised as on the Airbnb listings, so my family was robbed of all of our electronics and gadgets that we brought with us from the States. But that's a story for another time, or you can just look at a few of my past videos. Anyway, savvy expats, those are the 5 apps that you should download when moving to the Philippines. I know it's going to make your life much easier when you live here. And as always, if you're planning on moving to the Philippines and you need guidance on how to make the proper transition, we always have our free 15-step Philippine arrival checklist, which is in the link in the description down below. I always say there's a lot of nuances that come with moving not just to the Philippines, but any country halfway across the world, especially when retiring. So this checklist will help you navigate how to find a solid rental unit, how to open up a bank account, get good healthcare coverage, what to do upon arrival, and much, much more. And so thank you for watching Savvy Expats. As always, it was a pleasure, and we'll see you in the next video. God bless.